How's it going, everybody? Thank you very much for watching. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to another classic movie review. I'm sorry, I know it's been quite a while since my last review. It's been a couple of weeks. Been really busy working, a lot of overtime. It is the holiday season, so it's a little harder for me to do this time of year. But it being the Christmas season, I know I should probably be talking about a Christmas movie, so I'm going to try to do a review of a Christmas classic before the end of this month. But recently I had to sit down and watch one of my old favorite action movies from the 60s, particularly The Dirty Dozen, 1967. Director Robert Aldrich, who also directed one of my favorite 50s films, Kiss Me Deadly. And this is an awesome movie, so I just thought I'd talk about it with everybody because it has a great premise, it has a great cast, great old school action actors. You got Lee Marvin. The premise of this movie is laid out very neatly for the audience in the very first scene of the film, where Lee Marvin's character, Major Reisman, is told by his superiors, played by Ernest Borgnine and George Kennedy, that there is a German base in France that they must infiltrate and kill off some high ranking officers to upset the chain of command. And so the mission is for Reisman to gather up a dozen men, train them very fast in jumping out of a plane, parachuting, some techniques in combat, a few other things, and basically they need to crunch a lot of training in a small amount of time to uh, do this suicide mission, basically. And each of these men are doing some kind of time in like military prison, and each for different things. Some are sentenced 10, 20 years, some more, some are sentenced to be hung. And so all of them get a shot at redemption, and all of them have their own character, and some are a little, kind of weirder than others. You got a guy named Posey, who's this big guy, played by Clint Walker, who is kind of a gentle giant. And there's a great scene where Lee Marvin's character is kind of picking on him and trying to get him to sort of uh, learn a lesson about emotion and how to keep it in check. And it's a really cool scene because you can see that Lee Marvin really has skill in some kind of martial arts and kind of displays it in the scene, and it's really cool. And yeah, you got John Cassavetes in there. He's kind of the one that likes to give uh, the major a hard time, basically. And if anyone who knows the movie Rosemary's Baby, he was the husband in that movie. There's a really good scene with his character when he's trying to escape, and they were told by the major that they can't escape because if they do, everyone else is going to get punished by possibly, getting sent back or hung themselves. And so when he's trying to escape, you got a young Charles Bronson and a young Jim Brown. Charles Bronson's character is really cool. He's kind of the level-headed one, and Jim Brown's pretty much kind of like the muscle of the group. And then you also got a character played by Telly Savalas, who's kind of a perv, basically. He's also kind of a religious nut. I don't know. He's a character, and I think they called him Maggot. And then you also have a character played by Donald Sutherland, a young Donald Sutherland, Kiefer's old man. This movie is full of great moments because there's a lot of moments that involve team building, and there are moments when the guys in the group, the dozen guys, do have problems with each other at times. But then you see there are moments when they start to kind of get along, and also when they kind of have a commonality when uh, they kind of start to revolt a little bit because of a issue with cold water and having to shave with cold water and get cleaned up with cold water. And one of the guys points it out in a scene where, how come you guys, the major and his men, how come you guys get to use, the hot water and we don't? And that's kind of the point where the major starts to realize that they're actually starting to come together as a team. And as a reward, once they do well with their training, there's a great scene where he actually has like eight or nine women trucked over and gives them a little party, actually gives them some bottles of booze and says, "You guys have a little celebration, a little graduation party, before they go on their mission." And after that happens, the higher ups hear about that and don't like anything about that. It's against the rules. And so they're ready to call quits on the whole thing and have the men taken back to jail right there. And, some of them would go back to being hung. And then the major starts to really sort of feel a little more confident in his men, and so he puts them on the line, puts his own career on the line, and sets up kind of a war game thing. And if they are successful at it, then they continue with the mission. And the war game scene in the movie is a lot of fun. And then you get to the third act of the movie, and then it's basically all just the mission. And once you get to that section of the movie, it's all pretty much action. And the action in the movie for a 1967 film is really well done. There's some great shoot 'em ups. There's some great explosions. There's some nice silencer action. There's some nice machine gun action. And you got Charles Bronson and Lee Marvin in the same movie. You know, what's not to like? And this can be classified as kind of a war type movie, I guess, even though it's more of a team building kind of training kind of movie. And at times almost kind of feels like a prison movie at times, almost like The Great Escape, you know, because these guys are in a situation where, you know, they are confined to a certain area, and, you know, it's kind of, you know, closed off, and it's almost like a military jail for them. But it's basically these 12 guys getting ready for a suicide mission, and it's a lot of fun. It's very entertaining. All the actors do a great job. Uh, Tully Savalas, Charles Bronson, Donald Sutherland, of course, the great Lee Marvin. And you know, there's also some nice character actors that are in there from back in the day. If you watched a lot of old movies, you recognize a lot of faces, and there's some familiar faces in there. And so I always have a lot of fun with this movie, and I highly recommend it. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's a great action movie, and yeah, it's one that you can watch any time of the year, whether it's, you know, around the Christmas season or it's not Christmas season. It's just a great action movie, and definitely something that I think had some inspiration behind Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. There's definitely some elements of the Dirty Dozen in Inglourious Bastards, and those of you that watch this, if you're a fan of that movie, then you kind of see what I mean as far as like the group of men and just the team and everything. But great classic action movie. I think that you can find this on streaming, and if not, hard copies are out there. This is my copy. That's Lee Marvin there, and big explosion because heavy duty action. And yeah, it's the 60s, but they made some good action movies back then. So that's going to do it for this review, and I'll try to get a review of a classic Christmas movie out by the end of the month. I'll try to do at least a couple if I can, but it's very, very busy right now. I've been working a lot of overtime. You know, it's that Christmas season, and kind of hard for me to get these out as often as I used to. But either way, I'll try to get one out soon. So thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe if you're new. And please don't forget to look out for the next classic movie review. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time, peace out. Happy holidays.